Hey, what is up guys? Welcome to my Heroes of the Storm 16.0 tier list that I've made. So, a lot of you guys have been asking me, where do I think this character is? What are my thoughts on this character? And I'm here to give you guys all my thoughts on every character in the game, or hero essentially, champion, whatever you guys want to call him. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into it because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So, I have separate categories for each one of these. There's only one that's in this category called So Broken, Please Nerf Right Now Blizzard. Is Rehgar. Not only did I use HOTS logs to back up a lot of the stuff that I'm providing you guys with information, there's some things with HOTS logs that I'll disagree with as far as like essentially the win percentage, but for the most part mine is pretty on point with their list. I actually made my list, then checked out and compared them, like dang, this is really close. But anyways, if you guys are unfamiliar with HOTS logs, I'll link it down below in the description box as well. It just shows you the win percentages of other players in the game, especially the ones that are higher ranked is what we're taking into consideration, basically the other high ranked players. But anyways, first off, like I said, Rehgar is he's the only one in this category which I consider so broken, please nerf right now, because this guy is too good, man. He can heal very well. I wouldn't say he can out heal everyone. Technically, if you're just a Gosu with Uther, yeah, you can probably heal a lot more because you line up the shot. But for the most part, Rehgar pretty much has one of the best healings in the game, the heal abilities, because it's like a no skill. It's like chain healing, right? It doesn't really matter the location. So he's got great heal. He can actually outrun, he can chase, he can like basically turtle, he can do just way too much for the team. On top of that, he can solo camps, he can solo 1v1 players. There's a lot of characters in the game where he can just 1v1 just because he's too good. The freaking lightning thing is just, he's too crazy, and if you really want to be like the most try-hard like player in the world, play this guy. Right now he is absolutely crazy in patch 16.0. But yeah, Rehgar is just out of control. He can do sometimes the most damage on the team as long as the guy is like really good with him. He's just so much better in this patch than anything. Like, he outclasses every healer in the game in my opinion because he does so much damage and stuff. He just adds way too much utility to the team. But he's the only one I consider in this category. I'll also leave everything in the description box below. But yeah, he's the only one in the category that I consider like he's the best like in the game right now. As far as other really good heroes in the game, like high priority picks. So a lot of you guys that are interested in maybe trying out the game, because you know sometimes I stream other games, and a lot of you guys are, what's this game? This is a bootleg League of Legends. So a lot of heroes in this area, which I call the good or aka high priority picks, if you guys are playing in the rank section. These are high priority picks. So I feel like Diablo is relatively high right now. He does good damage, he has a good amount of HP, and he can tank relatively well because of his kit, because he can kind of move things, so he can definitely go into the fight and then kind of single out one target, and then he has a great ult as well. So yeah, Diablo I would consider a very high pick if you want to play a tank. Next up, I find the new guy, Greymane. He's a pretty good assassin. He's a good little like chunker. I wouldn't say he's always viable to 100 to 0 like back in the day with the alpha status Zeratul, but he's very strong, and he can essentially 100 to 0 as long as you have someone else kind of helping you out. But he's very high. I would say he's relatively high priority pick, but he's not someone that everyone picks, so he could still be a very good person to play. But one thing that I feel like hinders him compared to like Ming or any other assassin is that his ult, it's obviously on a different cooldown. If we go to the abilities, you can see Go for the Throat has a 60-second cooldown, but if you are able to kill them, it has a 10-second like proc that you can use for free as long as you use it within 10 seconds. Whereas Ming, she doesn't care. She can get an assist and she can reset everything, and her ult's on a 20-second cooldown. I know her ult and his ult are completely different, but the thing is, the reset ability that Ming offers compared to Greymane is on another level, but I still find him to be very good, especially in the right hands of a certain player, which is another category I have. But I think he's relatively high priority as long as you are good with him. He's kind of a character that you need to know what you're doing. Ming, next one up, like I mentioned before. She basically outclasses a lot of heroes in the game. She out DPSs pretty much everything, just because she hits so stupidly hard with her W. When you get it on max range, the ability is called the Arcane Orb. It does 450 damage at level 1. If that's not enough, plus you can go for the talent that pretty much most people will go for, which is Power Hungry. There are other builds, but we'll get into that like later on. I'll probably make a guide for her. But For the most part, when you get the power hunger, you get another 10% on top of that. It's just so crazy level 1. It gives you a free advantage level 1, I would say, especially when you're trying to siege. She has excellent siege ability. She has excellent ability to kill. She has excellent sustain if you build her a certain way. I find her to be just really, really good in the game. She just does a lot of damage. Next up, this one is kind of team comp oriented, but Lieutenant Morales, I find her to be a really high priority pick. Again, it depends on the composition, specifically like Trollgaller, and anything that can tank relatively well. I don't know, she's kind of okay with Raynor as well, but this one's only a high priority pick depending on your composition, so you have to take that into consideration. Next up, I feel like Thrall. He's seen a lot more play, and he's very, very, very viable in this day and age. Like, he's really, really tanky, I would say, especially for being an assassin. He just does his job relatively well. Next up, Kael'Thas. Kael'Thas has always been in this category of just like really good. At one point, he was in the broken category, but that was because Living Bomb was kind of bugged. But you know, that bug lasted a long time, let's admit. But for the most part, yeah, he just does a lot of damage. If you want to do damage, Kael'Thas has been good for a very, very long time. So he's relatively high priority pick. Next up, Muradin. I find Muradin to be very, very strong as well. He can tank, he can stun at the level of 20 with the rewind. He gets stunned, jump stun. He's excellent, excellent hero in general. If you want to tank, like Diablo and Muradin are very strong picks, as well as Stitches and also Sonya, which is the next person I actually want to talk about. So Sonya, she's really, really good. It takes the right player to play her though, but I feel like she is pretty dang good. Just because she's able to sustain. She's very good at bowling level 1, which means that you can engage in fights and basically win the trade every single time with her little whirlwind. It's like, oh man, I sustain. But yeah, she's pretty good for the most part. I like her. I like building her more of an assassin than I do like a tank, but for the most part, she can do it relatively well because she has a whirlwind to sustain herself. But just make sure you don't get knocked up or interrupted, because that can definitely get you killed, especially if you build her more on the assassinish side. Next up, I have Stitches in the high priority pick. Man, this guy is so annoying to fight against. I really hate when I'm playing certain heroes, specifically like things that don't have any escapes. I mean, I know Raynor has the passive plus he has extra movement speed, but if Stitches eats you, your movement speed does not matter, and you can't really like dodge as Raynor. You just have to, well, especially if he comes in a like, you know, an angle where like you just, you know, don't have that ability to kind of move. If he just hooks you as Raynor and eats you, it's game over, man. There's no like dodge, or there's no like teleport, there's no escape that Raynor has. I mean, yeah, I know he has passive, but for the most part, it's, like I said, irrelevant once he grabs you and eats you. But Stitches is just really good. He is so dang tanky. His damage is pretty low, but you don't play Stitches to really deal damage anyways. You play him as kind of like this catcher, kind of like Blitzcrank. You catch someone out, and then you eat them, and then they just can't play. And he's still good just to eat people. And on top of that, when I was playing Butcher, I noticed that if a Stitches would eat me, just as like if you're playing this like matchup, if you play Stitches or play as Butcher, whenever Butcher ults and Stitches eats you, Butcher's ult will not go off, the furnace one that is. So that could be a way that you can be like, oh, Butcher's going in on someone, okay, I'll just eat him, and then his ult will actually not go off. So that's really important. If you are playing the Butcher, make sure you don't get eaten by Stitches, because that can disrupt everything. And obviously he's going to put you in a position where you're going to die. And Butcher's not exactly the most tankiest, and especially if you build him tanky, he's not essentially doing his role, which is kind of like a burst assassin anyways. But yeah, that's just a quick little tip. Another high priority pick for me is Zagara. Zagara is very, very strong. She can siege very, very well. She can win fights by just going, oh, I hit W, I hit W. Oh, you lose because of Hydras, or you lose because of Mutas. It's very, very disappointing to lose to a Zagara, because like you're literally just getting autoed by some like little like minion that she summons. But that's Zagara for you, man. And she can have ults that can win game fights, or you can lose game fights technically because of her ult. Like she ults like in the wrong area or something like that. Yeah, it can definitely ruin the game. Next up, in this next category, so those are all the heroes that I considered in like the really good, like high priority picks. Like, so we have the broken tier, then we have the really good high priority picks, and now we move into the viable. Like, yeah, you can definitely play them, they're pretty good. So first off, Anubarak, I think he is pretty dang good. But he's not like, you know, back in the day Anubarak. Like, this is like before Skeleton King was out. Anubarak was just so amazing. His Locust, oh my gosh, that swarm thing was, you could like 1v5. I don't know if some of you guys remember from the stream where I would seriously go in and basically 1v5. It was dumb, especially against certain things like Nazeebo, when Nazeebo was even meta. And when you throw up the wall, you would proc off everything, you go back to full HP. It was really, really it was overpowered, I'll admit. And then Anubarak's still like the hero that I played the most, because during that format, I literally didn't play anything except for Anubarak if I had access to him, but he's been nerfed way too hard. But he does have the web, which I really like, because it makes a target can't play. Specifically, if I don't have Rehgar on my team, I just go, I ult Rehgar. Rehgar cannot play. Because I don't really like facing against Rehgar. When Rehgar's on my team, it's all good, man. But when my opponent picks Rehgar, and maybe if I don't have access to stitches or something like that. One thing I like with Anubarak is the beetles can get in the way and they can block things. It still can have that, I don't know if I want to call it RNG win, but you can technically use your beetles specifically on your W to actually dodge a lot of abilities, because the beetles will go out and they'll tank it sometimes, depending on your angle with the trajectory and with the beetles. But for the most part, I think he's definitely viable with the web ult. The other ult is just, it's not as good as it once was. I feel like Artanis, even though like he kind of has a low win rate, I think people are just kind of done with him. Like they just go into ham, and like I know he has the shields, but you know those shields go away, guys. Like when I get one of these on my team, I'm just like I already have a feeling that this guy's gonna go all in, and he's gonna cause us to lose the team fight. It's very common for Artanis to do this. I don't know if it's just like 99% of Artanis players. Hopefully you guys that are watching this other 1%, but like they go in on the stupidest fights and they're like, guys, where is everyone? I am Artanis, I have shields. It's like I said, the shields don't last forever, but in the right hands he can be kind of okay. But I still think he's in this viable category. Just don't play dumb with him and he'll be okay. Next up, Arthas. I almost want to consider him like in this like lower than that, but like he's not that bad. He's not like so in need of a buff that like he needs to be buffed like right now. But he still sees a little bit of play. I don't think he's that great, but I've seen people do well with him. He has an okay potential for the ult too, but for the most part, I just think he's outclassed by a lot of the other tanks in the game, especially by like Sonya. I don't know, if you want something that does like AoE spin damage, I know he has this little like ability to do damage too that's AoE. Sonya just outclasses him. That's just the way I see him, but he's okay. Next up, Skeleton King. Oh, dude, this guy, like, I thought I would never see this guy in this category of, like, just, hey, he's okay. Skeleton King just, I don't know, he just doesn't do it anymore. He's still pretty good for certain maps, obviously. Things that you really need to contest, and especially in the very beginning, that can give you a huge advantage. He's definitely great for that on, like, the new map, too. Specifically because you can contest, you can die, and he'll just come back in 10 seconds. It doesn't really matter that you're giving them EXP, because that really doesn't matter. All it comes down to is winning those objectives, especially early on, so you can kind of demoralize your opponents. But technically you're not getting EXP, so you're technically putting yourself further behind. But in the long run, you're putting yourself ahead because of the way that new map works, where you don't actually destroy their core by actually attacking it. But for the most part, like I said, he's just pretty much getting outclassed. He doesn't really have very good form of CC, and I feel like that's what a good tank can do. Like Muradin right now, Stitches can do, I guess Sonya to an extent can do as a tank. But yeah, it's just he's just not in the same category as I would have considered him in like the last format. Next up, we have LiLi. I've always hated LiLi. I didn't like how she played. I didn't like a lot of things about her. She has been buffed since then. Like, her ult used to get canceled by everything. And also because Yui plays her all the time. And like, I don't know if you guys remember when I used to stream, well, I was trying to get Yui to rank 1 in HOTS too. But every time I would be like, don't go LiLi. She'd be like, LiLi! And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I don't think LiLi is good simply because you can't play her bad or good. She doesn't have like a skill gap. She does have the ability to blind, which can hurt certain compositions. Like, I guess like a range, like if you go like LiLi, Johanna, like just things that can keep on blinding things that like are auto attack based, like Valla, Raynor, yeah, she could be okay. But for the most part, I think she's really bad. And well, I mean, like, she's in this, like, category where I consider her viable, but it's only because you can't mess her up. Like, you literally hold down your keys on the keyboard, and that's how you play LiLi. It's not very fun for me. I don't understand how people like it, but it still is in this category just because it's so simple to play. If you're looking for a healer that is just so simple that you can't mess up on, you can't go wrong with LiLi, and that's why I consider her like in this viable category. Next up, Raynor. That ain't Raynor. Wow, dude, all the StarCraft people look the same. All right, anyways, Raynor over here. I think he's viable for sure. He got nerfed with his stun used to be broken. They're like straight up broken. Like it was 1.5 seconds, and he I think it was a rewind or it holds 2 charges, and then you stun him, and then you stun him again. Like your opponent couldn't play. Like you would stun auto, stun auto, and it's just like, thanks, man. I didn't know I came into HOTS not to play, dude. But yeah, he's definitely still viable, but he got nerfed since he since like last time I was playing this game. Next up, Tycus. Tycus, I think he's viable too. That like laser ult, like a lot of people think it's trash, but I don't know. I think it's viable, especially when we're doing like YOLO solo queue. He's pretty good to contest objectives specifically, but I like him. I think he's definitely still viable in the game. Next up, Zeratul. I find his difficulty to be a little bit too hard for a lot of players that play him the old build technically. Like I'm talking about using, hold on, let's go to the talents. So I'm talking about Greater Cleave, Gathering Power, Void Slash. I'm talking about Burst Zeratul, talking about back in the day if any of you guys played this game in Alpha Zeratul. But right now everyone's going Shadow Assault, and technically he counters me, Li Ming. A lot of people think he does, and he to an extent he can, only if she's like bad and she doesn't go the right build, in my personal opinion. If you're facing off against Zera, my recommendation if you're playing Li Ming, is to get this. This is amazing. It's like borderline unfair if you're playing against certain things that can burst relatively hard. This thing is crazy because it doesn't like have any restrictions. It's not like, oh well, if they use an ultimate it doesn't count. Like, you know, Kael'Thas of Pyroblast, man. No one goes Pyroblast, but like 50% reduction on Pyroblast is pretty crazy, especially since this thing has a cooldown of what, 3 seconds? Like, it's ridiculous. But nonetheless, Zeratul, like I said, he can counter Li Mings that aren't very good, so to speak. But he's still very viable, very, very strong indeed. Next up, we got Zeratul, and then Jaina. I feel like Jaina's outclassed. She has the lowest win rate of any of the mages in the game. The 3 mages I'm going to consider in the game are these 3. These are like the 3 like birth mages, I would say, in the game. And she's just like not as good as the other ones. Like Li Ming and Kael'Thas should outclass her for sure. But she's okay. She's not bad. She still looks pretty cute though. Anyways, going on with besides looks. Next up we have Lunara. Where's Lunara? Where's that? She's okay. I bought her when she first came out. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. You can hop around and go really fast, like Sonic. But I don't feel like she's that great. Because a lot of people build her too safe, and I don't like playing characters that are safe. I like all-in characters. One thing that I was doing on her, most players that play the game for the ult, they always get the freaking Thorn Vine, which is good. It definitely does its work, and it procs her passive, which is like just dot damage over time. I like this. I like playing really dangerous and then just tapping R twice on certain heroes, specifically Li Ming. So what I like to do is I like to go on Li Ming really, really hard and then immediately spam R twice, and she misses both of her abilities, which missing the W is pretty big on Li Ming. Or you can dodge the ult too. I mean, it depends on what ult she gets, but it's really easy just to go up to Li Ming's and force them to use abilities because they're scared of you. Because once this procs, moving 80% slower, even if it's for only 0.35 seconds, that doesn't matter. Most of your team should be on point to kill Li Ming because you can't have her do resets. So as long as you have coordination, Leaping Strike, in my opinion, is very, 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 very good. Especially if you want to use her more as an actual assassin, like a burst assassin, rather than like I'm going to sit here, you're going to die in like 400 days, just let that poison kick in. I really like her ability for that, and it does a decent amount of damage, but it's more so just to be able to go against other heroes that can miss things. I know Kael'Thas, like, if he lands a tornado, like, yeah, you're probably dead, but if you can just, I guess, like, assume that he's going to tornado as soon as you pop out of the fog of war, like, you can auto him maybe once or twice, then you can go straight into the R, and then he'll probably throw up the tornado. Once he misses the tornado, most players, they go the tornado, then they throw the AoE on the ground, or they've probably already used the Phoenix, I don't know. Depending on what the situation calls for the most part, I think that she's much better if you have a team comp and you can go Leaping Strike and your team can follow up, or if you got like a Rehgar, just like, alright, get ready to ult me, I'm going to do something stupid. But yeah, I think she's like almost in this like other category, which I would consider maybe needing a buff. She needed a buff a long time ago, but she got it. Next up, Malfuruin. I feel like he's kind of outclassed by a lot of these other heroes in the game, but you know, I do like that mana. That mana plus Li Ming is like the only reason why I keep him in this, like, he's viable. Otherwise, his heal just like, it takes 5 hours to go through. It's like the reverse Lunara. It's like, it just takes too long to get things done. So yeah, I don't like him for that. Next up, Tassadar. Tassadar Rehgar? Which Tassadar? Tassadar plus Rehgar equals the most annoying comp that you'll ever fight against. And if they go like the spell shield, oh, it's a nightmare. You don't want to face against a Tassadar Rehgar comp. Like, they can go all damage and then just have Tassadar Rehgar and just they never die. It's the most annoying thing possible. That's why I consider him viable. Other than that, I thought he was kind of bad. But he does see some playing competitive once in a while, and it's against certain compositions more so. But with Rehgar being as insane as he is right now, Tassadar is more in this viable category, simply because what he can do. Next up, I consider Valla viable, or kind of in this category of like, she's in between really good and like viable. The reason why I consider her not super strong is because I feel like her other ult has too long of a cooldown. If we go to the abilities, the Reign of Vengeance has 90 seconds. I really feel like it should be on par with Strafe. I also feel like Strafe, it gets interrupted, yeah, it kind of sucks. But for the most part, I just wish that this was like a 70-second cooldown. I just think it'd just make her way more viable so she can like kind of help herself out against things like Zeratul, because once Zeratul is on you, depending on your build also, that obviously matters. But for the most part, you just like die. But with the Reign of Vengeance, it being such a long cooldown, what happens is like you'll have to use it if you're in lane or if you're trying to do an objective. If Zeratul or someone tries to go on you, like Illidan, you need to use this so you don't die, but then their ult comes up faster than your ult, and that's kind of a problem. And that's the way I see it, and I don't think that Reign of the Vengeance is so broken by the time you get it that it's unfair to use it multiple times with like a 70-second cooldown instead of 90. It's just, that's the one problem that I have with Valla. No one really gets that ult unless they're like playing like specific compositions, or if it's on certain maps they can like wombo combo etc, you know, that all that good stuff. But yeah, I consider her in the viable category. Next up, I have this category called only if you're pro with him, otherwise there's just much better options. Or, well, there's not really better option to Abathur, but I feel like you have to be really good with Abathur in order for you to get the most value out of like most of these heroes we'll talk about. But Abathur is really good. The mines, dude, this mines plus slow, hashtag waste his time 2016. Seriously, this thing is, it's the most annoying thing to deal with on specific maps, specifically like Curse, specifically on like, was it Pirates Bay, that map too? Or was it Butcher's Bay, whatever the pirate map is. Abathur's great on that. He can split push, he can do a lot of different things, but he's kind of like a character, like I said, this whole category is characters that you have to just be good with them, otherwise there's much better options. Abathur, there's no other option to Abathur, but you do have to be really good with him. Next up, ETC. ETC, you have to have the God ult. Like, if you don't have the God ult, yeah, he's worthless. And the problem that I have with ETC is he gets countered too hard by a lot of different things. Li Ming's pull on her Arcane Orb can ruin you, you can get pulled by Stitches, you can get interrupted by Tyrant, you can get hit by... There's just too many things that counter ETC. Heck, Johanna like ultra counters him, which is like unstoppable. Okay, pull you in. Wow, way to waste a ult and then you lose the team fight because ETC doesn't do very much. But yeah, if you have the God ult and you hit 5, then yeah, you win the game. he's a winner or lose it kind of guy. Next up, Falstad. Certain maps you can be good, specifically ones where you can cap certain things like the Dragon Trier. I guess the pirate map to one extent to get the coins, certain positioning. The new map he's kind of good because like if everyone's fighting at one point, he can fly to the other side, cap the point, then kind of move up and kind of waste their other time while the other team caps. He does have a little bit of utility, more so for quick match than other like team comp oriented maps where like you have 5 people and you guys are using Discord, Skype, whatever, Ventrilo. No one uses Ventrilo. TeamSpeak. Anyways, yeah, he could be much better in a solo queue in my personal opinion because you get things done with him, or if someone's really low you finish him off, you know. Next up, Gazlo. I've always hated Gazlo honestly because I feel like he can't really be good, but I don't know. There's one guy I was watching, I don't remember what his name was, but he was doing some dirty work with like the bomb like over and over. I don't really know his build, but it made it look like it was viable. I still don't think he's very great. You know, whenever I see Gazlo, I just facepalm because like you can't play. It kind of reminds me of like LiLi. Like you can only be good because your opponent is bad, if that makes sense. Because like if they're just gonna tank the turret, yeah, they're just gonna die eventually. But all you do is you just walk around the turret and you're like, oh, I don't care. I'm just gonna not engage during the turret. He does have some wombo combo ult specifically with like, I don't know, like Zeratul, etc. He can do some crazy stuff for sure. I will definitely say that. I mean, with Li Ming too, like he can pull everyone in, explode, and Li Ming gets all the resets and she jumps on them with like the wave ult. You can do a lot of cheeky things with Gazlo, but you just have to be good. Next up, Sgt Hammer. Sgt Hammer, wherever she is. She's good on certain maps, specifically things that you can siege really, really well. I mean, she just has long range. Next up, Vikings. Vikings, I feel like, is probably the hardest hero in this game to play. I'm Masters in StarCraft, and I can't play these guys fully. So if that gives you an idea of how difficult the Vikings are to play. Yeah, they're very, very difficult to play, but they get you ahead in the game, and I think that they're probably the best hero in the game, but they require too much. Well, with the exception of Rehgar right now, but Rehgar is in this category where he's so broken that like it will get nerfed, I guarantee you. But I mean, Rehgar almost has like a 70% win rate right now, but the Lost Vikings are just crazy good at just soaking the EXP, and you have to have a lot of good awareness to play them properly, but yeah, they've always been in this category. Next up, Tyrell. I feel like, yeah, you have to, his ult just has too long of a cooldown, but if you can like body block correctly and do a lot of cheeky stuff, or understand that you can die in team fights as long as you get the kill, get the leaving the reset, and then you win the fight. There are a lot of things that you can do as Tyrell, specifically. Like, I know it sounds dumb, but like dying as Tyrell can do a lot for your team because, well, he has a lot of different abilities that you can like use with his death, but for the most part, you can do a lot of different stuff with his death. Like, you can basically zone out certain objectives. You can engage into things where you need to cap. Like, if everyone's standing on a point to cap, like let's say a boss towards the very end of the game, if you ult like their squish target, and that's the only one that's sitting on the point, you can definitely win the points with that. You can, well, I guess if you have a false head, you can also win those points with that. Do the Gus thing, do that cheese play. But yeah, Tyrell, I feel like you just gotta be really good with him. He's really good at body blocking, but I feel like he gets outclassed by a lot of the other tanks in the game just because of what the other tanks offer as far as damage and like CC. But next up, I have Asmodan. Asmodan is a pretty good seizure. Across the map, throw the freaking giant basketball. He's pretty cool for that. He does have that last hit mechanic, specifically on Cursed. That where they, if you get the curse, everything has 1 HP, so you can get your stacks much faster. But I've never enjoyed playing him because how you win with him is you laser them and then they can't do anything. It's kind of annoying, but yeah, I mean if you just stun him, then he's just like, oh, I lose the fight. But yeah, Asmodan, he's only good in the hands of someone that knows what they're doing. Chen is also in that category. He's just sitting there drinking his little brew, and he's pretty strong. He has a pretty high win rate, but not that many people play him. The people that play him, they're pretty good with him most of the time. When I see someone pick Chen, I'm like, all right, it's either a win or a lose. There's no like in between with Chen. It's either he does really well or he does really bad. That's just Chen players 101, man. Next up we have Cho'Gall. So both of these guys, I feel like they're really good, but they have to be on the same freaking like team, like, well, obviously they'd be on the same team, but I mean they have to be on the same like TeamSpeak or like Ventrilo, Skype, whatever. Don't go and do it randomly. That no one ever picks these honestly randomly. Like they're always in a group when they're doing it anyways. But yeah, I would consider them like good as long as you know what you're doing. Same thing with Illidan. You gotta know what you're doing. You gotta know when to dodge things. Illidan's been nerfed a few times, but he used to be really good. Kerrigan, you just gotta land your stuff, man. That's all I can say. You get much more utility out of someone else that doesn't land their stuff. Kerrigan is just like you win or break it. Her shields don't multiply anymore. Like they used to work off of itself. The way that I don't remember the way that they worded it, but it's not multiplicative of the way it works anymore. And therefore, it really made me disappointed. If you want to reset champion, because I liked the reset idea before with Kerrigan, leaning does it way better. But next up, Murky. Murky, you just gotta know what you're doing, wherever Murky is. There he is, there's a little guy with the baby in the diapers, man. This guy over here, yeah, he's pretty good. Again, it all comes down to you gotta know what you're doing with these champions that we're talking about. The Butcher, oh man, dude, Butcher at 20, dude, Butcher at 20 comes beast. He's like 600 and something damage. I think it's 698 or something like that once you get your stacks up and you get the extra stacks. It's like 698 for each auto, and you combo it with Nexus Blades. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And then you combo it with one of the abilities. I built him like all damage pretty much. There's one trait that a lot of you guys were asking on the stream, like, what the heck, you play Butcher? How are you rank 1, dude? Like, what is this? You buy your account? No, dude, you just get victuals, and as long as you get that one kill, that's 9% extra health. 3 stacks drop on a kill, and you could tactically, well, each lane is what, 7 minions, so that's like 21. That's 9 plus 10, so pretty good stuff over there. You're getting a lot of health. Make sure you get the kill, then you're pretty much good to go in auto again, and then maybe collect the other victuals, and then you're good to go. But there's one trait that I get on. Well, okay, I don't know why people get Lamb to the Slaughter. Furnace Blast is the only way to go, in my personal opinion, for him, because you got to get the trait where it does 10% of their maximum health. So that's a really strong ability. Just go in, deal a bunch of damage, have the furnace pop. If Li Ming gets the glass cannon, you can literally go ult, hit E, and she'll pop. It's really fun to do that. I love it when that happens, but this was only during like the first few days that people were doing glass cannon. No one does glass cannon anymore. I haven't seen it in a while. Some people would think that like you can go glass cannon, do the extra orb from like super far away, play super safe, but Butcher doesn't care about that. He just goes in, pops Furnace Blast, and she pops in like literally 1 second. Just from the E charge, and then you hit Q, and then the Furnace Blast pops. But I usually time it so they don't have time to react. They obviously have the teleport, but that teleport is like 2 inches long, and yeah. Anyways, next up, Tyrande, you just have to be good. You got to get those stuns. That's all it comes down to with her. Is land your stuns. Uther is almost like I would consider him low, but it's just because Rehgar is just so much better. Like I think he's okay too. But it's just because Rehgar outclasses everything right now. That I don't know. I liked Uther a lot. That's the only healer that I actually liked playing for a while, just because he had a stun. Like a stun, in my opinion, is way better. Like Malfuruin get the root, but you get a stun that's like no skill. It's like just hit target it. It has to be close by, but I just like Uther so much better as far as like what he can do. Back in the day, it's just he's outclassed by Rehgar way too hard in my personal opinion. But yeah, that's my opinion on Uther. Charisma is also pretty good, but you have to be kind of good with him too. You have to like time what you're doing. You have to be able to understand like when you're gonna actually heal your ally. If you're going the build that goes for like the heal, sometimes people make him hybrid, go 7-sided strike. Maybe you have like well heck, you have a Rehgar. If you have Rehgar plus the Charisma, it's really good combo just because it has like double like utility heal, and Rehgar is just out of control right now. Next up. I feel like Lunara can almost be in this category of like, if you're really good with them, she's viable. Again, it comes down to you knowing how to use Leaping Strike and how to like, if your partner has shields you or something like that, you can do some really stupid stuff. If you have a partner that's playing Rehgar, like I said, you can do really stupid stuff. You can have everyone focus you. You can dodge double things. Like if you're playing against Kael'Thas and a Ming, you can dodge a lot of stuff and force them to use most of their stuff on you because they don't want, they're obviously going to be, oh, this thing's weak, let's squishy target, let's go pop it. But if you go jump over them and then they go, oh, what the heck, and then they jump over it, you jump over like their entire team again. You can win the fight because they focus you, is essentially what I'm saying. But it is kind of high skill cap, so I don't advise it for everyone unless you have like a team comp. Alright, so here's this next category. So that's the category of if you're really good with them, they can be like very good or technically very bad. These are the heroes that I feel like need a buff. Now, one of these is one that a lot of people will disagree with me on. Well, there's different categories for this. This category is they need to be buffed, or they're not working as intended, or no one plays them, essentially. Now, this is my favorite hero in the game. Actually, technically, I guess I've played more Zeratul and Nova. But Sylvanas is my favorite hero in the entire game. She's always been my favorite hero just because I like what she does. But I feel like she's not working as intended because she doesn't solo camps as well as other people because it takes way too long compared to what you can do. Heck, a Rehgar can do them like super fast. And I know she doesn't take any damage, but she just does them too slow compared to everyone else. And I feel like that's what she was used for. And yeah, she could be pretty good in team fights, but I feel like she's not working as intended. I felt like she was intended to be a split pusher, and I feel like the ability needs to be changed. Possession needs to be changed, hands down. No one ever gets it. I've never, ever seen anyone get it at all. I've gotten it before to test it out, and was it good? I didn't think so, so I didn't like what it did. I mean, it gains 20% attack damage. I was thinking at one point I could try to do something strange where like you try to steal your opponent's minions in lane and try to like fight them, but it never worked out. It was never viable. She just needs either another ult or this needs to change because I want possession to be viable. I want it to have another ult besides Willing Arrow. I like Willing Arrow, but what I'm saying is she's not working as intended with her other ult possession. It never gets used. But I mean, she's okay. Like, she's not like bad. Again, she's in this category because I consider it. She's not working as intended is really what comes in. This ult, please give us a new ult or make this like, I don't know, make this have like no cooldown so she actually does something that's like, maybe if no cooldown might be like too broken, I don't know. Maybe you can only possess a certain amount on the map or something, but make it so people actually get this. I don't know, it costs 5 charges to convert a catapult minion, like, I don't know. I really want to know what they end up doing with this because, like I said, it's not used at all. Next up, what they did in Nova was terrible. Like, she almost was in this category I would consider like only if you're super good because she has the talent at 13 where, oh no, it's not. It's the, is it 10, 7? Oh, 7, alright. So Snipe Master, hitting an enemy hero with Snipe permanently increases the damage of Snipe by 5%. Stacks up to 10 times. All stacks are lost if a Snipe fails to hit an enemy hero. Yeah, it could do a lot of damage, but I liked Old Nova just because of the 2 clones. If you give her back 2 clones, I'll consider her like in this category of like if you're pro with her, she's fine. But at the moment, she has the lowest, like one of the lowest win rates in the game. So like, please, like, can we just get double clones? Can that be a trait on level 4? I guess maybe like 2 clones, but they only last like half duration. Because the duration is relatively, well, you can upgrade for it anyways. Yeah, if you made them only last 2.5 seconds, but you can get split, which I think is relatively balanced in a sense, because all I wanted to do was be able to roost someone really fast, and then like they use their abilities on me, or I just use it to burst down with the a trait that makes it so the decoys deal damage, and then you get the rewind, so you get 4 clones. And then they don't know which one's the real Nova, and then they lose because of it. I don't know. I don't like the way she plays in the game right now. She used to be like a really good, like, deep assassin. Like, you'd kill someone that's super far away, they wouldn't see you, and then you just get out. And that's the way I wanted to play her. And you can't really do that anymore. So I feel like she's not working as intended anyways, because if you want a character that can just chunk someone out really fast, you have much better options in the game. She definitely doesn't do her job right. Next up, Rexxar. Who played Rexxar, man? No one. What's the lowest win rate? Rexxar. So yeah, no one plays him, and on top of that, he doesn't really have a role in the game. No one, like I said, I honestly don't know much about him. People used to play him, but I think he's just got outpower crept by a lot of the other heroes in the game. So I don't feel like he does not. I don't want to say he's not, like, viable, but I feel like he's not working as intended to. Like, he needs to do something else. I know he can solo camps, but so can, like, Rehgar, dude. Like, Rehgar outclasses Rexxar confirmed. But what I'm trying to say is, he just doesn't have a place in the game. Like, there's other things that just do his job better. And I know they fixed the AI with Misha because she was kind of, like, dumb before, but okay, that needed to be changed anyways. But I just feel like no one's really playing him. He has a low win rate. I honestly couldn't tell you much about him because I haven't personally played him enough to really give you guys like a good example of him. So I guess, wow, what a bad review of Rexxar. But yeah, like I said, he has one of the lower win rates in the game. Next up, I feel like Brightwing. He doesn't see enough play, and I think I don't know, whatever. Brightwing doesn't see enough play, and they're basically outclassed. Again, Rehgar's way out of control good right now. But yeah, that's it for my hero list. I'm just gonna double check. Oh, did I mention Nazeebo? I think Oh, Nazeebo is also in this category before we finish it off. Nazeebo gets outclassed by Lunara, he gets out-sieged by Zagara. Everyone out-sieges him, so he doesn't siege. He doesn't deal with enough, like, dot DPS because Lunara outclasses him. He's just outclassed, and he's got power crept. He used to be really good, though. But for the most part, no one plays him anymore, and on top of that, he doesn't have, like, the highest win rate. But anyways, now that we've gone through, like, my list, I want to show you guys the HOTS logs list, because I think that is pretty relevant anyways. We're looking at Masters only, so it's like in the high tier category of what people consider like good, essentially. But anyways, wait. Oh, let's go. Yeah, let's go back and check this out. But yeah, like I said, my list is pretty similar, as you guys will see in just a moment here. Compared to the HOTS log list. If you guys want to check out HOTS log, I mean, I can do a hero level, whatever, it doesn't really matter, but pretty much everyone in this will have their hero level 5+, just because that just happens. I'm trying to get rid of the more, well, I wouldn't say bot accounts, because there is technically botting in the game, but not really when you get into Masters anyways. But for the most part, let's go ahead and jump into it. And I wanted people to play the hero a little bit more, because like sometimes people will be forced to play a hero that they don't really like, you know, it happens. But anyways, so let's go to win percent. You can see Rehgar is almost at 70%. That's where it gets out of control. And then we have Sgt Hammer, Illidan. So most of the stuff, if you guys want to like look at it, you guys can compare it. Look at that. Butcher has a higher win rate than Uther. I thought I would never see that day coming. But Lunara also has a relatively low win rate. Brightwing, like most of the stuff, I was pretty accurate about. But I feel like Charism, he's viable. You just have to be able to know exactly how to position yourself. Same thing, like LiLi can have this problem too, where you want to heal someone else, but it's like, oh, someone else is lower, so you have to position yourself in certain angles. It's kind of difficult to do, to be honest, but it is definitely possible. But yeah, that's my list compared to the HOTS logs list. But if you guys have any thoughts on it, I'd love to know in the comment section below. But if you guys want to try out the game yourself and you want to know what heroes are good, because that question gets asked a lot of the time when I'm streaming. So what's 2,000 right now, actually? I know, can we go by price ascending, so I want the low one. So, good heroes that I can recommend. Raynor, Muradin, Valla. Is Anubarak? Oh, he's 4,000 probably. He's 4,000. Okay, so I'm trying to pick up the heroes that are cheaper. Like this isn't $2,000 by the way. This is 2,000 like in-game currency. You'll get, I don't know, you get enough to buy like multiple heroes. So like don't worry about like money in this game. You won't have to drop real money in this game, unless you really want to play the new hero like the day it comes out. And even then, if you play the game a decent amount, you'll unlock it because you don't have to buy like runes like League of Legends or something like that. Is Jaina 4,000? Jaina's an excellent hero for 4,000. She gets outclassed by a lot of stuff now, but I feel like that will change. Illidan is a little bit hard. I don't recommend that. Zagara is really good, but she's 7,000. Oh no, she's 4,000. Okay, so she's the last 4,000 hero. So I'm gonna keep it 4,000 and under, and recommend you guys to do if you guys want like good heroes that are relatively cheap. So Zagara, Tycus, Sonya, Johanna's only 4,000. Johanna, Jaina could be used too. Like I said, she's kind of outclassed right now, but she'll be buffed for sure later on down the line, or something else will get nerfed to where she becomes more viable. Muradin, Valla, and Raynor. And Anubarak might be, it's a little bit team comp oriented because your ult doesn't really do anything as far as by yourself. Like you need your team to follow up. You need to be able to know what target to shut down at the right situations, and also at the right HP, and also at the right objective. So he can be a little bit too difficult when you're learning the game. But anyways, that's my list, guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree or disagree on anything, and let me know maybe if you felt like I missed out on any information that was viable for other new players. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hope this helps you guys out and become a better HOTS player, and have some fun maybe playing some ranked with this list. You can get a little bit better and climb the ladder. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I'm signing out.